functional constituency should be abolished at all?
Yeah, because that is a good question, actually.
That's more precise, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very important, thing that the democratic movement has to address. I think this whole issue about functional constituencies, because it is a real concern. I can see what the government are going to try and do. I think because they don't want to get rid of them, because that ultimately, that gives them some ultimate power, doesn't it? But as long as there is functional constituencies, there is not real democracy in Hong Kong.
I heard one guy supporting it, but he's quite an interesting argument, saying that I support it unless the government opened a new functional constituency called the unemployed, for the unemployed. Virtually everyone will get another extra vote.
Yeah. You could have functional constituencies for all sorts of things, couldn't you? For whatever.
Volunteers, maybe.
Yeah.
I remember in the past, the sex worker was also fighting for one of the seat in the functional constituency in the 90s, right?
The sex worker.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah.
And call up to the radio station. I remember in the 1995.
Give us.
And the tribe members as well.
All sorts. Yeah,
all sorts.
Yeah. Anyway, we want to move on. We've got a couple of other topics we want to talk about. The other very shocking story, actually, internationally, in the past week or two, is this story about a massacre that happened in the Philippines. We can't go this show without talking a bit about this, because it was so shocking, actually. To do with 57 people were killed, slaughtered, totally unarmed, innocent people, and 30 people of them were journalists, and they were going on their way to elect to take part in a local election, and it was happening in the southern island in Mindanao, which obviously has had some problems and for a long time to do with that. There has been fighting, but obviously this particular incident was extremely unusual and shocking, because it wasn't actually linked to do with the Muslim struggle or the in terms of Muslim terrorists. The actual people who were committed this atrocity were allies of the government, and they've actually now arrested. They've arrested the dozens of people in the local police and the local military. So it wasn't Muslim terrorists who had committed it. It was actually there was obviously a clan, if you like, of this particular group of people who had been in power in this part of Mindanao for a very long time. They were not happy that another group, group of people wanted to challenge in this local election, and decided to get together 100 of their supporters and basically gun down 57 totally innocent people, 30 of them journalists, and quite rightly so. There's been a lot of coverage internationally about this, and outrage about it. How well covered was that in the Chinese media?
Pretty much so, because on electronic media and also in print media, because it's such a big news. And but of course, people wouldn't be too surprised in the sense that, of course, it's surprised that lots of journalists were killed. You wouldn't see that sort of scale, but because Hong Kong people do also pay attention to what's going on in Philippines from time to time, because there are Filipino Chinese there, and also they have domestic workers who have their home country there. And the Philippines has a long history of election-related violence. I mean, in the past 2 elections, the one before 2004 and 2007, you have more than 100 people killed because of election. Yeah. So this is just another election-related violence.
Yeah. And I've been to the Philippines quite a lot down there, and spend quite a bit of time down there. And I've actually been down to this place in Mindanao, actually. And and having been there, I can tell you, it's the whole economy is struggling. Actually, no tourists really in their right minds would want to go there. And it is struggling, but in particular, you're right that the Philippines by and large, it's a very nice, friendly place. But now and again, you hear of some shocking stories, and another big problem, I think, is that guns are so easily available, and it's a bit like America in that regard. A lot of people are walking around with guns or with homemade guns, Philippine style as well, and that. Whenever there's a political row, there are sometimes people pull out a gun. But this particular incident is shocking because of how organised. It's such an organised crime, actually. You think about how powerful that local political clan were to get 100 people who are willing to commit such a serious crime, actually. What they think, because obviously they thought in their minds that they were powerful enough and could get away with it.
And the new development of the story is that you have the Philippines government is going to replace all 1,100 policemen in the area. Replace all of them. So remove all of them, the entire police department. So as a way to show that they have the determination.
Yeah. I mean, thank God there has been a strong reaction by the government. To make it clear that it's totally wrong and totally unacceptable. But in some ways, it is worrying that the people who committed this atrocity were actually allies of the people in power. The president in the Philippines who relied on these people's votes in order to make sure that they were elected in the Philippines. And But that truly was a shocking story. I mean, I've never heard of such a large number of journalists being slaughtered like that. I mean, it was amazing that the people involved thought that they could do it, and thank God the world's media have spoken out really strongly about it, I think. Hopefully there'll be improvements in the Philippines, because it is a democracy, and in a lot of ways it's a great country, but it's got its fair share of problems. And thank God that doesn't happen in Hong Kong. I can't ever envisage 30 journalists being shot in broad daylight in Hong Kong. Thank God. Hong Kong's got its different kind of problems, but thank God there's not too much violence, because that's at least people know exactly where they stand in Hong Kong. But anyway, I think we're just about wrapped up, actually. We're running out of time. But thank you again, and thank you especially to Joe, and see you. We're looking forward to having you back, Joe.
Yes, offering all sorts of advice.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.